You want me to put that on my Tudor?
This one's wife. Only one paid flunky clapping. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Harry presumably stayed back at the hotel, sitting in his underpants and playing with his building blocks, as this one's wife decided she was going to be about much more important things, as she attended as a speaker at a Women in Leadership event, which she was apparently co-hosting with Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Director General of the World Trade Organization. I explained elsewhere the gulf between the biographies of these two women, and it demonstrated once again that this one's wife was completely out of her depth, yet she wouldn't recognize it, such as her level of delusion and belief that she ought to be there. Well, this one's wife turned up, and once again hit the mark in terms of inappropriate dress with spaghetti straps and showing a lot of flesh, because she simply doesn't understand how she ought to dress in a conservative Muslim nation. This is because she doesn't care. This is because she has no emotional empathy. This is because she is a narcissist. But what kind of reception was this one's wife given when she turned up at the event? Well, we've got a sliver of footage for you. So let's get it played and find out what the attendees thought of her and how they welcomed her. Here comes the footage.
Stage, I'd like to invite you, our wonderful DG, the first woman to manage and run the World Trade Organization, and to the amazing, inspiring Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, to join us. Stage, I'd like to invite you, our wonderful DG, the first woman to manage and run the World Trade Organization, and to the amazing, inspiring Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, to join us.
Not exactly what you'd call a rapturous welcome, was it? Indeed, it sounded to my mind that there was just one person, probably a paid flunky, clapping in an exaggerated manner, in an overly loud fashion, in order to try and make up for the fact that most people seemingly couldn't be bothered. This is the type of entrance that dismays this one's wife and would cause an ignition of fury. While she's receiving some fuel as a consequence of the fact that there is applause, it's not at the level that she would expect, and she would actually find it challenging. Therefore, her narcissism would need to do something about it. But the last thing that she could do is turn around and hiss, "Fucking clap properly, you fuckers!" which of course would damage her facade. Instead, she's not able to assert control indirectly by muttering about the lack of the warm welcome, and instead she simply has to jettison the nature of the welcome in her head by suggesting that they ought to have done better, and it's not actually as a consequence of her unpopularity or lack of enthusiasm for her appearance. Thus, her attendance at this event did not get off to the best of starts with such a lukewarm reception, which clearly sounded like it was perhaps one of her team trying to drum up enthusiasm from the audience, and it wasn't forthcoming. Was it the case, though, that this one's wife then shined, sharing her economic knowledge, her keen understanding of financial implications as she sat with the Director General of the World Trade Organization? Did she wow the Nigerian women there, demonstrating a key level of insight into the problems of Nigeria and its economic policies, and offering some kind of suggestions as to how they might be remedied? Perhaps she discussed the possibility of brokering new trade agreements between the United States and Nigeria. Clearly, since she was there talking at a Women in Leadership event, she'd be there to share crucial knowledge of that nature. Well, Nick Pisa wrote for the Daily Mail, "This one's wife says she has fulfilled her dream of becoming a parent," as she opened up about her very chatty, sweet children Archie 5 and Lilibet 2. Mwah, 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 mwah. she's sharing a stage with Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, a lady who has a very impressive bio, as I pointed out to you in parts passim. This is an opportunity to talk to a gathering of presumably intelligent, well-placed, expectant women. And that it's a women in leadership. So one would imagine that many of the women in the audience hold positions of authority, influence, and power within Nigeria. It would make sense that they would want to hear from Dr. Ngozi, but this one's wife, what's she going to offer them about leadership? Where has she ever exhibited leadership? She has never been the CEO of a successful company. She was 6th on the call list on Suits. She has not undertaken any meaningful charitable or philanthropic work. She hasn't led people into battle. She hasn't led a team going and saving lives. She hasn't exhibited any leadership other than leading her husband around by the pecker. And yet, she once again inveigles her way into such an event, thinking everybody's going to look at her and go, wow, what a leader. When in actual fact, anybody with functioning brain cells looks at it and goes, why on earth is she speaking at this event? And good Lord, is that what she came out with? Note, of course, that she ensured that her title was used, a title given to her from a family that she wants nothing to do with, and she told the audience how much she loves being a mother, but admitted that balancing her family and her career posed its own set of challenges. Fuck off. You don't know the notion of balancing those things. You have a staff and a nanny. Assuming the children do exist, other people handle them. What do you have to balance? A career. What is your career? 1 hour a week with Archwell. Reading social media to see what's said about you. Conducting Zoom meetings with your agency and shrieking at them because once again you found to be unpopular. During the talk, this one's wife was asked how she juggled being a mother with her career, and she replied, I love being a mum. Despite being told more than 10 years ago by her friend and mentor that she would never be able to balance the demands of motherhood and her work, the 42-year-old Duchess said she enjoys being a mother and her priorities are constantly changing. Well, she got that right. Her priorities are constantly changing. This week I'm an author. Now I'm a philanthropist. Now I'm involved in charities. Now I'm a content creator. Now I'm a politician. During the panel discussion, this one's wife said that balance in her life has changed over the years and looks different to 10 years ago before she was married and had Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet. No shit, Sherlock. Thanks for that amazing insight. She said, what I think that to mean now, is that balance will always change for you. That balance, what seems balanced 10 years ago, is going to shift. Gosh, she really talks dross, doesn't she? During the Q&A session, this one's wife also thanked Nigerians for welcoming her to my country. Grandiosity, talking nonsense. This is a country which apparently she now identifies with as being her country, having never visited in the past, having no relatives that come from there, but all of a sudden it's her country. Well, I think Malta's going to be very upset. You went there on a freebie a few years ago claiming that you were looking at your Maltese ancestry. So which one is it? The Duchess of Sussex, who recently discovered she is 43% Nigerian, revision of history, continued her whirlwind tour with this one. This one's wife arrived almost an hour late to the Women in Leadership Summit. Lack of accountability, lack of respect, unpunctuality. She told the audience, I want to start by saying thank you very much for just how gracious you've all been in welcoming my husband and I to this country, my country. Seriously, how not to get the audience on side. I am just flattened and honoured and inspired. It has been a whirlwind 24 hours since we arrived, and I very quickly got the memo that I need to wear more colour, so I can fit in with all of you and your incredible fashion. So first of all, talk about how it's about you, and it's your country, and that you're flattered and you're honoured and you're inspired, and then talk about your clothing. Just talk about you. When asked how she felt about discovering she was 43% Nigerian through a genealogy test, this one's wife said the first thing she did was call my mum because I wanted to know if she had any awareness of it. Strikes me of another revision of history. She went on, being African American, part of it really not knowing so much about your lineage or background, where you come from specifically. And it was exciting for both of us to discover more and understand what that really means. Never in a million years would I have understood it as much as I do now. That doesn't even make sense. It's been really eye-opening and humbling to be able to know more about my heritage and to be able to know this is just the beginning of that discovery. Defining Nigerian women as brave, resilient, courageous, powerful, beautiful, this one's wife said, it is the most flattering thing to be in that company, to be in your company. She also added, I often find that whatever travels I've done, regardless if it's Nigeria or another country around the world, sometimes when women reach the peak of success, they leave. But you need to come back home. You need to at least be a familiar face for the next generation to say, oh, she looks like me, and I can be that. What, you mean like taking Harry away from what his home was so that he's no longer amongst familiar people? Is that what you're talking about? And I think that is a really key piece in all of it. It's defined by, and you still always want to come back home, because that's how you're going to help shift any sort of generational pattern that might be stifling, especially for young girls who need to see someone who looks like them in that same position. Utter dross. Complete word salad being spouted by this vacuous dimwit. After being told by a moderator that she had come home, this one's wife replied, I hope that I could do justice to the role model that I think so many young women deserve to have. Ha! What, you as a role model? And what role is that? Never succeed at anything other than trapping men and leverage off the back of them to gain notoriety and money. If you say so, what a brilliant role model. She really does spout nonsense. And there she is on a platform with an individual who evidently has quite a degree of prestige and prominence, the Director General of the World Trade Organization, and she just comes out with the usual nonsense by way of word salad and talking about what it's like to be a mum. Millions of women are mothers. They don't bang on about it in the way that she does, but the reason she does is because she has nothing else to talk about, because she hasn't actually achieved anything. And all she can do is bore people with her meaningless word salad, once again demonstrating what a self-absorbed narcissist she is. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.